So if you're in a place right now where you're either on the brink of starting a business or you're on the brink of possibly generating your first six figures, but your wheels are kind of stuck as to, okay, how exactly am I going to get there? Well, this video is for you. Now, full disclosure, if you are in a place where, look, dude, I'm already making six figures, so should I even stay in this video? The answer to that is going to be yes, because there are going to be 4 habits that you can take from this video and you can implement in your business right now to take that into deeper water. Look, we all know, and we've all seen those videos that says the 5 habits or the 5 morning routines of how to become a multi-billionaire or multi-Googleionaire, whatever that is, right? But the first step is you have to generate your 6 figures, your first 6 figures, which in my opinion is the hardest, and it has to become consistent in order for you to be able to get into that next income bracket. Now, the first habit or trick that I really tapped into that really helped me catapult my income was I started breaking up my days into days. Now, you heard that right. I started breaking up my days into their own individual days. Have you ever been in a place where you started your day, you woke up pretty much at 5 when you really wanted to wake up at 4, and that to you is a late start to your day? Or you went through the drive-through and you wanted to pick up some coffee, but when you got the coffee, it wasn't at the exact temperature that you wanted it. And then when you got to that first meeting of the day, that person either ended up walking out on you or was a no call, no show. So now it's noon and you feel like your day is over, and then you receive some bad news at 1 p.m., which now throws in your second meeting or your third meeting of the day out of the water. And now you've said to yourself, this day is completely over. Believe me, that's happened to all of us. And normally what ends up happening is if a day gets ahead of you, then you're playing catch up the entire rest of the day. So I figured out, what if there was a way, instead of having the entire day kind of slump me, whether I either got beat up early in the morning or if I got beat up halfway through my day, what if there was a way for me to divide up my day? And so let's say if I wake up at 6, that, let's say 6 to 11 a.m. hour window is one day. And then from 12 to 4 p.m. would be another day. And then let's say from 5 to 9 p.m. would be another day. And then obviously from 9 p.m. to midnight, it's kind of just, I'm off, right? At that point, I'm kind of just hanging out with the family. I'm at the house, I'm cooling it with some friends, whatever that looks like. And then what I would do is I would analyze, okay, what was that first part of my day? So what was day A like? So from 6 to, let's say, 11, how did I manage those meetings? How did I manage my time? Was my time management on point? Was I spending a little bit too much time on the tasks that I maybe could have delegated? And then that second part of the day, okay, how was my gym hour? Did I focus in the gym? Was it a good workout? Was it something that was actually that would actually push the needle forward? Or is it something that I just kind of went through the motions? And when you start breaking up your days like that, you're then able to find the leaks and seal the leaks in your day that's causing you to either not make more money or not push the needle forward for where you're headed. So my piece of advice for this is break up your days however you want to do it. So if you want to have 4 days in your one day, 3 days in your one day, or if you want to break it in half, let's say from the moment you wake up to lunchtime is half the day, and then after lunchtime is the other half of the day, you can go ahead and do so and then put it on a grading system, let's say on a scale of 1 to 10, or from, let's say, A to an F. That way you can really see, okay, this is what I need to work on and this is how we're going to fix it. Now, the second habit that you want to pay attention to is write out everything that's working and just dismantle it and see how you can make it better. Oftentimes we tend to focus on what's not working, and that only works to a certain extent, right? That's really easy to find out. Okay, you just automatically know this isn't working, scratch it, let's throw it out. But it takes more intense and it takes further focus if you're looking at something that's already working, and this is really something that's going to help catapult your income into that next bracket. You take a look at something that's working, but then most people stop there, and this is why most people either go out of business or they just get stuck in a certain income threshold. They look at what's working and they say, all right, it's working for us, that's it, let's just keep it going. And what they don't understand is that the market's always improving and the market is always changing. The market's like its own algorithm, right? The same way that YouTube has an algorithm, TikTok has an algorithm, IG has an algorithm, the market has an algorithm. And let's say that same piece of marketing that you put out 4 months ago may not necessarily be relevant now, or that one skill set that you had 1 year ago when you first got into the industry may be completely outdated right now, because of the way that competition has evolved in the way that the consumer thinks within your specific industry. Now, I'm going to leave that part up to you of what your competition is doing and how your consumer is thinking for your industry. But you want to take a look at what is working for me and what is working for me really well. And then from there, you want to see, okay, what's wrong with what's currently working? And that's how you're able to take, let's say, something that's at a grade A to a grade A plus to a grade A plus plus, however you want to rate it, or from a B to a B plus. Now that B is an A, and you want to put it on a grading system as well. This is how you go from good to great. Going from good to great is a lot harder than going from bad to good. Going from bad to good is like clockwork, but going from good to great is what takes discipline, and for you to put your ego aside and say, okay, even though I feel like this is as good as I can get it, there still is some wiggle room in some areas that I can kind of tweak it and further adjust it. Which now leads us into skills versus delegation. You may be at a place right now in your business where you maybe haven't hit your first 100,000, or maybe you haven't hit your first 250,000, your first $250,000. Full disclosure, full transparency on this, it's a little bit harder for you to delegate if you aren't making a deeper six-figure account, just because you're not able to hire the best help. So my rule of thumb with something like this is you want to see what is the next best skill that you can get better at that is going to help push you past kind of like that income bottleneck that maybe you're facing right now. Now, I'm going to speak to some of us here that are some higher earners. Maybe you're 700, 800, 900,000, and you're knocking on the door at $1 million, because this next part is going to be important and you are going to need it. But for those of us that are working on skills, I believe that if you're working on your skills, it's a never ending process. You're always working on the next best skill, because it's then going to lead us into not only the next income, but it's also going to help us become better delegators, and it's going to help us scale our businesses a lot faster. Look, me personally, there's certain things that I don't like to do in my business, but there is one thing that I do. Before I, let's say, go out to delegate, or before I go out to hire someone, or maybe pay a subcontractor to get something done for me, whether it's an edit, or if it's a funnel, or if maybe it's a website or some type of coding, I at least like to absorb as much information as possible about that one area. I know I've heard Joe Rogan speak on this, where before he has guests on his podcast, if it's something that's just completely out of his range or out of his element of comfort, he likes to absorb at least a couple of hours of content so that he doesn't sound like a complete idiot when he's speaking to some of his guests, and that way the conversation flows. Think of it the same way in your business. If you want your business to continue flowing, then you have to at least absorb and learn some of the skills that you plan on hiring out. That way, it, one, reduces your cost, so you know that you're not getting overcharged. Two, you know if the job is actually getting done correctly or not. And three, you know what to look for and what not to look for in the person that you are looking to delegate that assignment to within your business. Because when it comes to making six figures, you can make six figures off of hustle. You can make $500,000 off of hustle. You can even make $1 million off of hustle and grind. But when you go over that $1 million mark, at that point, it is going to take some strategy, not just skills. It's going to take some strategy, and it is going to take some proper delegation in order for it to sustain itself without you necessarily having to be there at least 50% of the time. And lastly, maintenance versus income producing. Take a sheet of paper, write a line right down the middle. On one side, go ahead and write down maintenance. On the other side, go ahead and write down income producing. On the left side, you want to write down everything that you feel is a maintenance process in your business, whether it's a follow-up call with a client that's already signed up, but you just follow up with them because maybe they didn't receive a package, or maybe they didn't receive a newsletter, or maybe they didn't receive one of the resources that you promised them. That right there, in my opinion, is going to be more of a maintenance type of assignment. On the other side, the right side of that sheet of paper, you want to do the income producing. On the income producing side, that could be maybe you're hopping on a sales call with a potential client that you're looking to crack into a certain territory. That to me is income producing, because that could generate hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, depending on the industry that you're in. Another thing that you can focus on when it comes to income producing activities is part of that delegation side, that hiring process. That's going to be an income producing activity. Why? Because you're going to get your time back on this side right here. So instead of, let's say, you having to make those calls, or you having to send out those packages, or you having to, let's say, design some of the things that you've been putting out, now that you've delegated that, you're then able to use the time that you have into a higher income producing activity. This is why you'll see someone that they hire out, the first hire that they do is an assistant. Now, not a passion assistant, but an assistant is more of a lower income producing activity because it just requires, let's say, calls. It requires someone to file paperwork. It requires someone to keep documentation. That's important. But on the higher income producing side, you could be out there networking at a high level meeting that, you know, if you connect with 2 or 3 different people within the same industry, or if maybe there's a client that you've been trying to close for God knows how long, that income producing activity, the time that you would have spent filing paperwork, you're not able to give your full attention to that assignment. In return, you're then able to go back out and hire and delegate for more help accordingly. So if you found value in this content, consider hitting the subscribe button down below. Join the official community. Don't forget that anytime I'm not posting on here, I'm posting over on the Inside with Irv show. So if you like what I have going on over here, you'll love what we have going on over there. Once again, I appreciate you guys checking me out. Till next time, everyone, I will see you in the next video.